Delegation is a buzzword in a PowerApp. Do you want to learn about delegation? Hi, this is Krupali from Know How Academy. So let's start with me. So let me tell you what you are going to learn in this video. In this video, you will understand the problem of searching and loading thousands of records in one go using PowerApp. What problem you will face when you are doing this? How to solve this problem using delegation and what is delegation. Now let me explain you with the scenario. Now assume you are searching something from a database table. That database table contains millions of records. Now when you are searching a person named Krupali from that database or from the table, so what will happen? Out of 1 million records, thousands of records will be there which match with your search keyword, that is Krupali. Now, how server will respond to your search? Now, when you are doing search, a request from your browser or from your mobile app goes to the server. Server will search data from the database and return the result. Now, if one or two result is there, then it is okay. But here it is returning thousands of records, which contain several columns as well. Now, if your device is not compatible to handle that much data, then what will happen? Then your device will hang or your browser will hang. So, how to solve this problem? Now, a server is returning thousands of records to your device. Your device will not catch up entire 1,000 records in one go. But what will happen? It will accept data in some chunks. Let's say out of 1,000 records, it will accept that is 100 records in one chunk. That means one chunk will contain 100 records. Now, after examining that, again you are asking server to provide next 100 records. Then it will get next 100 records and so on till 1000 records. So, what is the advantage of that? Advantage of that, your device will handle 1000 records but not simultaneously, but in different go. Now that situation is called delegation. Now what advantage happen if you use delegation? If you use delegation in PowerApp, your browser or your device will not suffer from the problem of data overload. So to overcome the problem of data overload or too many data that will cause a browser crash or PowerApp or your device memory crash. So we will use the concept of delegation. So delegation means out of some record, we will fetch data in the chunks as per our needed. So that is the meaning of delegation. Now, how we will implement delegation in PowerApp? So in PowerApp, when you are dealing with the data like SharePoint, Dataverse, SQL, different data source you are going to use in your PowerApp. So how we will get the data or how your PowerApp will get data from this data source? So using delegation, we will get data from the PowerApp. Let me explain you practically. Now let me explain you what data I am using. So in SharePoint list, I made one database or I made one list which contained two columns, that is title and gender, and it contained almost 500 or 600 records are there, SharePoint list. So first of all, let me display these two data in my PowerApp. So I have taken a PowerApp which contains one screen. So let me add a vertical gallery in that. And here in vertical gallery, I am displaying the data of that SharePoint list. So that SharePoint list is demo delegation. So let me copy that link. I am going to paste or I'm going to add that data source in that. So let me search for SharePoint list. Okay, and let me add that list. Okay, so this is the demo delegation, and click on connect. Okay, now let me set the data source, and let me set the how it will look. So let me save and run. So it is displaying the data, that is name of the person and the gender of the person. Now I want to get to know that how many records are there in that. So let me insert a text label. Now in text label, I'm going to display total records, then comma, then gallery 1 dot all item count, all items count. So it is displaying 100. Now you may have a question that actually SharePoint list contain more than 500 records, but why in your PowerApp it is displaying 100 records? So let me run and show you. When I scroll down, it will display first 100 record. Now see, now the count is increasing to 100. Now what will happen? That means when you display the data from SharePoint list to your PowerApp, first it will load first 100 record in a gallery. Then when you scroll down and your record reach to the last record, that is 100 record, then again your PowerApp will load next 100 record into the gallery control. So this way 100, then if 200 will over, then you can see next 100 record will be displayed. So that way delegation is working. You do not need to write any code for delegation, but PowerApp itself manage the delegation with the data source. So we can say that in PowerApp, if we are loading data from SharePoint, it supports the delegation. Okay, now let's check for the Dataverse table also. So let me add the data of employee table. This is the employee data. Now let me take a new screen. Okay, now let me add one more gallery control in that, and here let me add the data source, that is employee data. Let me select this way. I want to see the records, and this time first name. I want to display here the image. Instead of image, I want to display gender, and instead, okay, so gender and first name, you can see that. Now let me take once again text label, and let me display total records are, and then gallery 2 dot all item count. Now here it is displaying data. Now let me run the application and check it out whether the data which we are loading from Dataverse, it is delegable or not. So let me go to the first 100 record, then see again next 100 record is loaded, then next 100 record will be loaded. So it will load until the end of the record will found. Okay, now if I come to down, so 400, then if I go down, then 500. So this way we can say that Dataverse also support delegation in PowerApp. So I hope you are clear with how to check whether your data source and PowerApp support delegation or not. But this is a very simple situation. But as I explain you in the scenario, I want to search something from that. So let me go to the screen one which contain the data from the SharePoint list. Now in this gallery control, I want to display the data whose records are female. Okay, or we can say that whose gender is female. I want to display that data. So maybe out of 1000 record, there may be a possibility that 400 females will be there. Okay, so how I can do that? So let me go to the items property and search for, let me write a search function. So search, then what I need to write? I need to write the name of the data source. Then what I want to search? I want to search female, and from which column you want to search? So I want to search from the gender column, and then okay. Now see, when you display the data, and let me save and run it. Okay, now see, since it is already we reached to 500, so when you go down little bit, okay, the account is not increasing rather than 500. Why? And one more important thing is that here a yellow color sign is there, and when you click on that and click on edit formula, you are getting an something warning kind of thing. And when you move your cursor over there, it is saying that delegation warning. The search part of this formula might not work correctly on large data set. Now what is the meaning of that? The meaning is that when you are searching a record from the SharePoint list which is equal to female, that means the gender equal to female, there may be a possibility out of large data set, there may be a possibility that some records are there which is more than 100, which is more than 500, but you will not get correct idea. Why? Because the reason is that search function with the SharePoint list is not delegable. Now instead of search, if I write a filter function, see what happened. Filter, then demo delegation, then gender equal to female. And see here, and no warning came. And I was doing the same thing in a search. I am searching for the female record and it was showing that first 500. But here when I do that, it shows 100. And let me save and run. When I scroll little bit and it reached to 100 record, automatically the count increased to 100. Okay. So let me write again the search and then demo delegation, then female, and then gender. Now it load 500 record. Now what is the reason and why this thing happened? Because it is a rule in a PowerApp, or it is said that in an official documentation of PowerApp that search is not a delegable function. What is the meaning of that? Delegation means as per requirement, data will be loaded in from the server. So when you are searching for the female records from that SharePoint list, all the record which is written by the server, entirely it loaded into one go. Now how much record it will load? Let's say out of 1 million record, there are thousands of females are there, but it will display only 500. Why? Because in PowerApp there is one limitation, or there is one setting is there. Let me show you. You need to click on the setting and here data row limit. Set how many rows are retrieved from server based connection where delegation is not supported. That means it will load 500 record in one go. Then it will not load data further when delegation is not supported. Search with a SharePoint list is not support delegation. What limit will be there? Limit will start from 1 to 2000. Maximum 2000 record you can load. If you just write 20,000, this values needs to be between 1 and 2000. So if the function is not delegable, so you can load first 2000 record max to max. Other than this, you cannot load. Now let me tell you, let me set the size to 2 and close it. And let's save it. Now see, when I search a female, it will load first 500. Now I decrease the limit to 2. Now see what happened. But before that, now if you run this, it will show 500. But to give the effect of that, I need to just close this app and start it again. Okay. So let me go to the app and let me just open it again. Now see, it will load only 2 records. Why? Because I set the limit that it will load only first 2 records. Although in my SharePoint list, there are more than 2 records which values are equal to female. But it will load only first 2 records. So that is the reason of displaying that 2 record. So if you are using the non-delegation function in PowerApp, so you need to either increase or decrease the data row limit, and it will not go beyond 2000. Let's say out of 1 million record, 5000 females are there. But if your delegation row limit is 2000, so out of 5000, it will load only first 2000 female, and rest of the 3000 female, it will not going to search, it will not going to load in your PowerApp. So that is the limitation of search function if you are using with SharePoint list. Now let's use a search function in Dataverse. Okay, so let me go to the items property. Okay, so it's loading, just wait. Okay, let me go to the screen, let me go to that, and here we are searching same thing. So search, then this time I'm using the Dataverse table, that is employee data, and I want to search female records and from the column gender. Okay, now let me save and run. Now see, when I scroll down, it will load first 100 record, then it will load 200 record, and then it will load 300 record, and so on. So you can say that a search function is delegable with the Dataverse table, but a search function is not delegable with the SharePoint list. Here it will display only first 2 records, but here it will display 300 and many more records up to the whenever I am doing the request. So here if you set the data row limit, still it will not affect. Why? Because that search function is delegable with the data source table, and here you can see that there is no yellow color sign is there, or there is no yellow color sign warning is there. I hope you understand what is the meaning of delegation and how to deal with the delegation. If you are designing any app which contain or which deal with the lots of data, then you need to be clever, or you need to be wise enough that which function you are using in your PowerApp. You may have a question, which type of function support delegation and which type of function do not support delegation. So for that, you need to read the official documentation of Microsoft PowerApp. So let me delegation in PowerApp. If you go there, this is the first document you will read. Now understand the delegation. Here it is there, and here delegable data source. That means which are the data source which support the delegation. So these are the 4 data source you can see, that is Microsoft Dataverse, SharePoint, SQL Server and Salesforce. These are the 4 data source which support delegation. Now delegable function. Now which function support delegation? So here you can read that these are the function which support delegation. Non-delegable function, so let's say first and last and choice. This function if you are using, they will not support the delegation. Now let me show you. Now let's say Here you use the word, let's say first and here you are supporting delegation, and if you write 100, so it will display only 2 records. It will not display first 100 record. Why? Because the data row limit we set to 2. And let's say here, instead of search, if I write first n and employee data and load 100, it will display only 2 records in the Dataverse also. Why? Because first n function is not delegable, but search function is delegable with Dataverse, but it do not support the delegation in SharePoint list. But first n function is not delegation supported function. Now same way you can try out the choice, concat and other function. Now if we go upside and if we click on Microsoft Dataverse and open in a new tab, so it will say that if you are using that much thing with the number, it is supported, or with the text whether it is supported or not. So this is the table which will give the idea that if you are using Dataverse table and if you are using that much operator or function, it support delegation or not. Let's say if you are using search with the choice function or with the choice data type, it will not support delegation. So these are the data type and these are the items or function, you can say that. So if you are using any function and you want to check it out whether it's a delegable with my database column or not, or my table column or not, so you need to read that. Okay, now let's say if you click on SharePoint, so here you will get an idea. So these are the function which are delegable with SharePoint list. So filter, sort, and these are. Here the search is not there, and if we try to use a search, then we are getting an error, or not error but delegation warning we are getting. So I hope you understand what is the meaning of delegation. Thank you for choosing Know How Academy as a source of your IT knowledge. We are always here to help you to navigate to the tech world. Do not feel any hesitation to reach out us. Stay curious and keep learning.